She cared for her Alzheimer's-stricken husband for 20 years, until she discovered his secret family just miles away. Alara Quinn woke to the soft light filtering through the curtains, casting a warm glow across the room. She turned to her right, where Jasper Voss lay, his brow furrowed in confusion. The sheets were twisted around his legs, and his fingers fidgeted restlessly. Alara's heart ached at the sight. This was the man who had once been a pillar of strength, a vibrant architect full of dreams and laughter. Now, he was a shell of his former self, lost in the fog of Alzheimer's disease. "Jasper," Alara whispered gently, brushing a hand against his shoulder. "It's morning, love. Time to wake up." His eyes fluttered open, revealing a moment of clarity before the confusion set in. "Alara, where am I?" His voice was hoarse, and Alara felt a familiar pang of sorrow. "You're home," she reassured him, forcing a smile. "We're safe, remember? We had plans for breakfast." He blinked, a faint flicker of recognition sparking in his eyes. Breakfast. Right. He sat up slowly, the sheets falling away to reveal the t-shirt he always wore to bed, faded and worn, like their memories. Alara reached for the bedside table, pouring a glass of water for him, her movements practiced and fluid. As she handed it to him, Jasper's gaze drifted to the framed photographs lining the walls, their wedding day, holidays spent with friends, and moments that seemed to belong to a different lifetime. "Do you ever think about what was it?" he stammered, searching for the words. "Before?" Alara's breath caught in her throat. "All the time," she replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil roiling within her. "But we have right now, don't we?" Jasper nodded, but she could see the flicker of something deeper in his eyes, a shadow of memories he could not grasp. It was a constant battle, this dance between clarity and confusion, and each day felt like a new version of the same exhausting routine. Once breakfast was made and shared, Alara moved through their kitchen, the scent of coffee mingling with the aroma of toast. She was careful to keep the atmosphere light, but her mind drifted to the stack of letters she had found hidden in the drawer of Jasper's nightstand, a discovery that had set her heart racing with questions. Later that afternoon, after Jasper had settled into his favorite chair with a book he no longer understood, Alara made her way back to the bedroom. Her fingers trembled as she opened the drawer again, pulling out the letters one by one. The handwriting was elegant, almost too perfect, a stark contrast to the chaos of her feelings. Each envelope was dated, each one revealing snippets of a life that felt foreign to her. "Dear Celeste," one letter began, "I miss you more than words can say." Alara's heart sank. Who was Celeste? What kind of life had Jasper lived that she had never known about? The letters were filled with promises, confessions of love, and a longing that cut deeper than she expected. She could feel betrayal wrapping around her like a shroud, threatening to suffocate her. "Why, Jasper?" she whispered to herself, her eyes brimming with tears. "Why didn't you tell me?" But the question hung unanswered in the air, just as the letters now loomed large in her mind, casting a shadow over their otherwise peaceful existence. Alara knew she had to confront him. She had to understand the man she had devoted her life to, a man who, in many ways, felt like a stranger. As evening fell, Alara prepared dinner, her mind racing with possibilities. The thought of confronting Jasper made her stomach churn. She had spent so many years nurturing their relationship, building a life founded on trust and love. Could she really shatter that foundation with the truth she had uncovered? "Jasper," she called, trying to keep her voice steady. "Dinner's ready." He wandered into the dining room, a faint smile on his face. "What's cooking, Chef?" he asked, his tone light, masking the weight of the unspoken tension between them. "Your favorite," Alara replied, forcing a smile. "Pasta with marinara sauce." As they sat down to eat, Alara's heart raced. The clinking of silverware filled the silence, each sound amplifying the thoughts swirling in her mind. Jasper talked about trivial things. A bird he had seen outside. A dream about sailing. But Alara couldn't focus on his words. The letters weighed heavily in her thoughts, a constant reminder of the secret life he had kept hidden. After dinner, Alara cleared the table, her hands shaking as she stacked the plates. "Jasper," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Can we talk for a minute?" "Sure. What's on your mind?" he replied, his eyes curious yet distant, as if he could sense the gravity of the moment. Alara took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. "I found something in your nightstand." She paused, searching his face for any hint of recognition. Letters. Letters addressed to someone named Celeste. The color drained from Jasper's face, and for a fleeting moment, clarity washed over him. "Celeste?" he echoed, his voice barely above a whisper. I don't remember." Alara felt a pang of frustration. "Jasper, these letters talk about a life you've shared with her. Why didn't you tell me? Why keep this a secret?" Jasper's expression changed, confusion clouding his features. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said, shaking his head slowly. "I don't remember her." Alara felt a mix of anger and sorrow swell within her. "But you must have loved her once. You wrote these letters, Jasper. They speak of a life you led without me." "I don't know why I didn't tell you," he replied, his voice cracking. I thought it was gone. I thought it was all gone." "Gone." The word felt like a punch to her gut. "You mean your memories? Your love for me?" "What else is gone, Jasper?" His gaze dropped to the floor, and she could see the battle raging within him. "I didn't want to hurt you, Alara. I didn't want to lose you. I thought if I kept it buried, it wouldn't matter." Tears slipped down Alara's cheeks, the weight of his admission crashing over her like a wave. "But it does matter. It matters to me." The room felt suffocating, the air thick with unspoken truths. Alara's heart raced as she wrestled with her emotions, the urge to shake him, to force him to remember, to feel the pain she carried. But she was also painfully aware of the fragility of his mind, the delicate threads of clarity that could unravel with a single misstep. "Jasper, I need to understand," she pleaded, her voice cracking. "This isn't just about your past. It's about us." "I wish I could help you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I really do." Alara swallowed hard, the betrayal tasting bitter in her mouth. Every word felt like a dagger, and yet she couldn't help but feel a deep-rooted compassion for the man sitting in front of her. He was still the man she loved, even if fragments of his past remained buried in the recesses of his mind. As the evening wore on, Alara found herself feeling lost. The letters had opened a chasm she wasn't sure how to bridge. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but she also wanted to hold on to the memories they had created together, the laughter, the joy, the warmth of their love. But now, with the revelation of Celeste looming over them, Alara felt as if she were standing on the edge of a precipice, uncertain of how to navigate the depths below. Would Jasper ever fully return to her? Or would he remain trapped in a labyrinth of forgotten lives, leaving her to confront the ghosts of his past alone? Alara stood at the window, staring out into the fading light of the evening, her heart heavy with uncertainty. The world outside felt so distant, so disconnected from the turmoil within her. She had devoted her life to Jasper, and yet, here she was, grappling with the haunting realization that she might not know him at all. The letters lay on the table, a silent witness to the unraveling of her reality. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Alara took a deep breath, steeling herself for the road ahead. She had made a commitment to love, to care, to stand by Jasper's side, no matter the cost. But now, with the shadows of his past closing in, she had to find a way to confront the truth, no matter how painful it might be. As night settled over their home, Alara Quinn moved through the dimly lit kitchen, her thoughts tangled in a web of confusion and betrayal. The letters lay discarded on the table, the words haunting her like ghosts from a past she had never known. She couldn't fathom the life Jasper had led beyond their shared memories, and it gnawed at her insides, turning her affection into something darker, a mix of anger, sadness, and an overwhelming sense of loss. "Jasper," she called softly, hoping to bridge the growing chasm between them. He sat in his chair, staring blankly at the television, the flickering images casting shadows across his face, but his mind was clearly elsewhere. "Yeah," he replied absent-mindedly, his eyes glazed over, as if he were peering through a fog that seemed to envelop him entirely. "What were you thinking about earlier?" Alara asked, testing the waters carefully. She needed to understand where his mind drifted when he slipped away from her, what memories still lingered in his heart. "Just the ocean," he said, his voice trailing off, eyes still fixated on the screen. "I used to love sailing." Alara's heart sank at the mention of the ocean. It was a passion she had known about, but had never shared with him. "Did you sail often?" she pressed, her curiosity piqued. "Sometimes," he murmured, still lost in thought. "With friends. There was a boat, I think. We would race." His voice faded, and Alara could see him retreating into himself, the memories slipping through his fingers like sand. She felt a deep yearning to reach into the depths of his mind and pull him back, to shake him until he remembered her, until he remembered everything they had built together. "Jasper, do you remember our honeymoon?" she asked, desperate for a connection, for a spark of recognition to illuminate his eyes. He turned to her slowly, as if the question had broken through a barrier. "The beach," he said, a hint of a smile creeping onto his lips. "You wore that red dress." "Yes, and you kept getting sand in your shoes," Alara laughed, the sound bittersweet. "You made me promise not to go swimming without you." His smile faded, replaced by a furrowed brow. "But I don't remember where we went," he confessed, his voice heavy with regret. I can't see it." Alara's heart ached at his admission. "That's okay. We can talk about it. We can make new memories." She reached for his hand, intertwining her fingers with his, hoping to anchor him to the moment. I wish I could give you more, Jasper said, his voice strained. I feel like I'm losing pieces of myself. I don't want to forget you, Alara. I don't want to forget us. The weight of his words crashed over her, and she felt tears prick at her eyes. You won't forget us, I promise. I'm here with you. But even as she said it, doubt crept in. How could she be so sure when the very fabric of their lives together was unraveling before her eyes? Later that night, as they settled into bed, Alara lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Jasper's breath was slow and steady beside her, but her mind raced with the implications of the letters. The thought of Celeste haunted her. Who was she? What did she mean to Jasper? Alara's heart was heavy, and sleep eluded her. She had spent the last 20 years nurturing and caring for Jasper, only to discover that there was a part of him that had existed without her. The betrayal curled around her, squeezing tightly. The next morning, Alara woke with a sense of purpose. She resolved to confront the issue head-on. The letters would not be the end of their story. She would not allow it. They had built a life together, and she would fight to keep it intact, even if it meant facing the uncomfortable truths hidden beneath the surface. After breakfast, when Jasper had settled into his chair with a newspaper he could no longer read, Alara took a deep breath and reached for the letters again. As she reread them, a mixture of anger and sadness coursed through her veins. Celeste had been a part of Jasper's life, a shadow that lingered even now, and Alara couldn't let it define their future. Jasper, she called, her voice firm yet gentle. Can we talk? Jasper looked up, his brow furrowing. About what? About Celeste. I want to understand who she is, and why she's in your letters. The words hung in the air, heavy with expectation. He shifted uncomfortably in his chair, the tension palpable. I don't know if I can, he admitted. It's all jumbled up in my head. Alara's heart raced. I need to know. It's important for both of us. She sat down across from him, trying to maintain eye contact, to connect. He sighed, rubbing his temples as if trying to massage the memories back into clarity. Celeste was someone I cared about. Before everything happened. Before what happened? Alara pressed, her voice steady but laced with urgency. Before I lost myself, Jasper replied, his voice barely above a whisper. I thought I could keep her away from you. I thought if I buried it deep enough, it wouldn't matter. Alara's breath caught in her throat. But it does matter, Jasper. You can't just erase parts of your life. It's not fair to either of us. I didn't want to hurt you, he said, his voice shaking. I thought I could protect you. I thought I could... His words trailed off, lost in the fog of his thoughts. Protect me from what? Alara pressed, her heart pounding in her chest. From the truth, he said at last, his voice breaking. From the fact that I loved her, that I had a life before you. I didn't want you to feel like you weren't enough. Alara felt a mix of anger and sorrow wash over her. You should have trusted me. We could have faced it together. I was scared, he admitted, tears welling in his eyes. I didn't want to lose you. I thought I could hold on to you without dragging you into my past. Alara felt the weight of his pain, the fear that had driven him to keep secrets. But now there's a wall between us, Jasper. I can't pretend it isn't there. The room fell silent as they stared at each other. both grappling with the enormity of the moment. Alara's heart ached for the man she loved, yet she felt the distance between them widen with each passing second. Would they ever be able to bridge the gap created by this revelation? Maybe I could reach out to her, Alara suggested, her voice trembling with uncertainty. If we understand what happened, maybe we can find a way to move forward. Jasper's expression shifted, a mix of fear and disbelief. You want to meet her? I don't know, Alara admitted, her heart racing at the thought. But I can't keep living in the dark. I need to know the truth, even if it hurts. Jasper's shoulders slumped, and he looked away, lost in thought. I don't know if I can face her, he murmured. I don't know if I want to. Alara took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. Then we'll face it together. Whatever it takes, Jasper. I won't let this destroy us. As the words left her lips, Alara felt a flicker of hope amidst the turmoil. They had fought through countless challenges together, and she wasn't about to let this be the one that tore them apart. But she knew that the journey ahead would not be easy. The truth was a double-edged sword, and she had to be prepared for whatever it would reveal. Alara spent the next few days wrestling with her emotions. Each time she saw Jasper, she found herself searching for signs of the man she had married, the man whose laughter once filled their home. But with every passing moment, the weight of his secrets grew heavier, threatening to suffocate their connection. Finally, one evening, she made the decision. I'm going to contact Celeste, she announced as they sat on the couch together, the television flickering in the background. Jasper's gaze snapped to her, disbelief etched across his face. You're serious? Yes, Alara confirmed, her voice steady. I need to know. We both do. He opened his mouth to protest, but then closed it, the fight draining from him. I just don't want to hurt you more, he said quietly. I can handle it, Alara replied, determination flooding her veins. We can handle it. As she picked up her phone to search for Celeste's number, a wave of anxiety washed over her. She was about to confront the very essence of Jasper's past, a past that had cast a long shadow over their present. But she also felt a sense of empowerment. This was her life too, and she wouldn't shy away from the truth, no matter how painful it might be. With each ring, her heart pounded louder in her chest, each echo a reminder of the uncertainty that lay ahead. Alara Quinn's heart raced as she listened to the phone ring. The world outside her window blurred into a haze as she focused on the task at hand, each ring echoing the uncertainty of the moment. She felt Jasper's presence behind her, a mixture of anxiety and hope emanating from him. They were teetering on the edge of something monumental, and she couldn't turn back now. Finally, a voice broke through her thoughts. Hello? It was soft, slightly hesitant, but undeniably warm. Is this Celeste Rivers? Alara asked, her voice steady, despite the whirlwind of emotions inside her. Yes, this is Celeste. Who is this? Alara took a deep breath, her grip tightening around the phone. My name is Alara Quinn. I'm Jasper Voss's wife. There was a pause, and Alara held her breath, waiting for Celeste's reaction. The silence stretched uncomfortably, filled with unspoken words that hung in the air like a charged storm. Jasper's wife? Celeste finally said, her tone shifting, tinged with surprise. I didn't know he had married again. Alara felt a pang of jealousy at the word again. I know this is unexpected, she continued, her voice steady. but I found some letters from Jasper to you, and I think it's important for us to talk. Letters? Celeste's voice was now laced with confusion and curiosity. What do you mean? They were hidden in a drawer, Alara explained. I didn't know about you, about your connection to him. I just want to understand. I see, Celeste replied, her voice softening. I never meant to intrude on your life, Alara. I hoped he had moved on. Moved on? Alara echoed, feeling the weight of each word. You were a part of his life before me. I can't just erase that. Believe me, I understand. I never wanted to come between you two, Celeste said, her voice thick with emotion. But Jasper and I had something that was significant, even if it was complicated. Complicated, Alara repeated, the word bitter on her tongue. That's one way to put it. I loved him once, Celeste confessed, the words hanging heavily in the air. I still care about him, but I never wanted to disrupt your marriage. I thought he was happy with you. Happy? The word felt hollow. He doesn't remember a lot of things, Celeste. Not even you. Alara could hear Celeste's sharp intake of breath. Oh. I didn't know. I thought maybe he had chosen to forget me. Maybe he did, Alara said, her voice softening. But he's lost so much, and I'm trying to help him hold on to what he can. Alara felt a twinge of empathy for the woman on the other end of the line. Celeste's love for Jasper was evident, even through the phone, and Alara couldn't help but wonder how their lives had intertwined in ways she had never imagined. Can we meet? Celeste asked, her voice barely a whisper. I'd like to talk face to face, if that's okay with you. Alara hesitated, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Meeting Celeste could open old wounds, but it could also provide the clarity she desperately sought. Yes, she finally replied, her voice firm. Let's meet. I need to understand everything. Where and when? Celeste asked, her tone shifting to one of determination. How about the park near the cafe where Jasper and I used to go? Alara suggested. Tomorrow at noon? Okay, Celeste agreed. I'll be there. After they hung up, Alara felt a mixture of dread and anticipation. She had taken the first step into a confrontation that could alter the trajectory of her life and her marriage. As she turned around to face Jasper, she found him watching her with wide, expectant eyes. How did it go? He asked, his voice a mix of hope and trepidation. I set up a meeting with Celeste, Alara replied, her heart pounding. We're meeting tomorrow at the park. Jasper's expression shifted, a blend of emotions crossing his face. Relief, fear, and something else she couldn't quite place. You really want to do this? I need to, Jasper. I need to know what this all means for us. He nodded slowly, his gaze dropping to the floor. I never wanted any of this for you. I thought I could keep you safe from the past. Alara stepped closer, placing a hand on his arm. You kept me in the dark. I need to know the truth, even if it hurts. For the rest of the evening, they spoke little, the air thick with unspoken thoughts. Alara found herself constantly glancing at Jasper, seeking signs of the man she had fallen in love with, the man whose laughter had once filled their home. But with each passing moment, the distance between them felt like an insurmountable chasm, a divide created by secrets long kept in the shadows. The next day, Alara awoke with a knot of anxiety twisting in her stomach. The sun streamed through the window, illuminating the room, but the brightness felt harsh against the weight of her impending confrontation. She dressed carefully, opting for a simple floral dress that Jasper had always complimented. "You look beautiful," he had said once, and she wanted to channel that feeling of being cherished as she faced the unknown. After breakfast, they drove to the park in silence. Alara could feel Jasper's nervous energy beside her, the tension palpable as they approached the familiar spot where they had shared countless memories. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, and the distant laughter of children playing filled the air. But Alara felt trapped in a bubble of uncertainty. "Are you ready?" Jasper asked, his voice barely above a whisper as they parked the car. "I don't know," Alara admitted, her heart racing. "But I have to do this." They walked to the park entrance hand in hand, and the familiar sights only heightened Alara's trepidation. She spotted a bench beneath a sprawling oak tree, the very spot where they had shared ice cream on sweltering summer days. The memories flooded back, but today felt different, tainted by the knowledge of Jasper's hidden past. As they approached the bench, Alara saw Celeste sitting there, her posture tense as she nervously twisted a strand of hair around her finger. Celeste was beautiful in an understated way, with soft features and warm brown eyes that reflected a depth of emotion. Alara's heart ached, knowing that this woman had once held a significant place in Jasper's life. "Celeste," Alara said, her voice steady as she approached the bench. "Thank you for meeting me." "Thank you for agreeing to talk," Celeste replied, standing up to greet them. Her gaze flickered to Jasper, who shifted uncomfortably beside Alara. "Jasper," Celeste said softly, her voice laced with emotion. "It's good to see you." Jasper nodded, a hint of discomfort evident in his posture. "You too," he murmured, his eyes darting away as if he were afraid to engage with the memories that threatened to surface. Alara took a deep breath, feeling the tension in the air. "Let's sit down," she suggested, motioning to the bench. They all settled, the space between them charged with unspoken words. The silence stretched for a moment as they gathered their thoughts. Alara felt her heart pound in her chest, the weight of the moment threatening to crush her. "I found the letters," she began, her voice steady, "and I need to understand what happened between you two." Celeste looked at Jasper, her expression a mixture of longing and concern. "I never meant to come between you. We had a relationship that was complicated. I loved him, but life took us in different directions." "Different directions," Alara echoed, her voice trembling. "What does that mean for us now?" Celeste turned to Jasper, her eyes searching for answers. "You don't remember much, do you?" Jasper shook his head, his expression pained. "I don't remember a lot of things, not even the good times we had." The conversation flowed in fits and starts, the three of them navigating a delicate dance of emotions. Celeste shared stories of their time together, adventures spent sailing, laughter shared over meals, dreams woven into the fabric of their lives. But for Alara, each story felt like a knife twisting in her heart. As Celeste spoke, Alara watched Jasper's face, searching for signs of recognition, for the man she had once known. But he seemed lost, adrift in a sea of confusion, and it broke her heart all over again. "Why didn't you tell me?" Alara asked, her voice trembling as she turned to Jasper. "Why keep this from me?" "I thought I could protect you," he replied, his eyes filled with remorse. "But I see now that I only created more pain. Pain that could have been avoided if you had just been honest, Alara said, tears brimming in her eyes. I could have handled it. We could have faced it together. Celeste reached out, placing a hand on Alara's arm. I never wanted to hurt you, Alara. I thought he had moved on. I thought he was happy. Alara felt the warmth of Celeste's hand on her arm, but the gesture did little to quell the storm brewing inside her. The weight of the moment pressed heavily upon her, and she could feel the tension crackling in the air like static electricity. She had come seeking answers, but what she found was a labyrinth of emotions that threatened to ensnare her. Happy? Alara repeated, the word bitter on her tongue. You both had a life together, one that I had no idea existed. How could that not affect me? Jasper shifted in his seat, his eyes darting between the two women. I didn't want to lose you, Alara. I thought if I buried the past deep enough, it wouldn't matter. But it does, doesn't it? Alara nodded, her throat tightening with emotion. It matters more than you know. I've built my life around you, around us, and now I'm learning that I was living in a shadow of your past. Celeste's gaze softened as she looked at Jasper. I never meant to be a shadow, Alara. I loved him, but life took me in a different direction. I thought I could let him go. Jasper looked pained, his eyes filled with regret. I thought I could forget too. But memories don't just disappear. They become ghosts that haunt you. The three of them sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their shared past heavy in the air. Alara felt as if they were standing on the edge of a precipice, the ground beneath them crumbling away. She didn't know how to navigate this new reality, how to reconcile the love she felt for Jasper with the truths that had come to light. What did you want from him, Celeste? Alara finally asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. Did you want him to come back to you? Celeste shook her head, her expression earnest. No, I never wanted to disrupt your life. I wanted him to be happy, even if it meant being with someone else. I thought he had moved on, but I see now that he's still carrying the weight of our past. Alara felt a flicker of understanding. And you thought you could just let him go, without any closure? Celeste nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I thought that if I stayed away, it would be easier for him, but I can see now that it only added to the confusion. Confusion, Alara echoed, the word resonating in her mind. It was a fitting description of the emotions swirling between them. Fear, love, resentment. They were all lost in a maze of memories, struggling to find their way back to the center. Jasper, Alara said, turning her attention to him. What do you want? What do you truly want? He looked at her, his expression vulnerable. I want to remember. I want to understand my past, and I want to hold on to you. I don't want to lose either of you. The honesty in his voice struck Alara like a bolt of lightning, illuminating the darkness that had settled over them. But how do we move forward? She asked, her voice trembling. How do we build a future when the past looms so large? Celeste remained silent, her eyes fixed on Jasper, as if searching for answers in his gaze. Alara felt a pang of jealousy at the connection they shared, a bond forged through memories that she could never fully grasp. But she also recognized that they needed to confront the truth together, no matter how painful it might be. Maybe we can start by talking openly, Celeste suggested gently. Share what we remember, even if it hurts. It might help Jasper piece together his past. Alara took a deep breath, her heart racing. I'm willing to try, but I need to set boundaries. I won't let this drag us into a place of uncertainty. Jasper nodded, his gaze steady. I don't want to hurt you, Alara. I want to heal, but I need your help. Celeste reached out, her expression earnest as she looked at Alara. I promise to respect your boundaries. I don't want to come between you two. I just want to clarify my own feelings, and perhaps help Jasper remember. Alara felt a wave of uncertainty wash over her. Could they really navigate this together? Could she trust Celeste not to disrupt the fragile balance they were trying to maintain? Okay, Alara said slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. Let's start with the memories. But we need to be honest with each other. No more secrets. As they began to share stories, Alara felt herself being drawn into a world that was both familiar and foreign. Celeste spoke about sailing trips they had taken, about nights spent under the stars, and laughter that filled the air. Jasper listened intently, his expression shifting from confusion to recognition, as snippets of memories cascaded through his mind. I remember the ocean, he said softly, his voice tinged with nostalgia. The salt in the air, the sound of the waves. Alara felt a twist in her chest, a mixture of longing and loss as Jasper spoke. She wanted to share those moments with him, to create new memories that could overshadow the old. Do you remember the time we went to the beach? She asked, hoping to connect the dots. We built that giant sandcastle together. Jasper's expression shifted, and for a moment, she saw a flicker of recognition. I do remember that, he said, his voice stronger. We laughed so hard, and you kept trying to decorate it with seashells. Yes, Alara exclaimed, her heart soaring at the connection. That was one of my favorite days. As they continued to share stories, Alara felt a sense of camaraderie develop between them. Celeste's presence was both comforting and disconcerting. She was a reminder of the life Jasper had lived before, but she also brought a sense of understanding that Alara had been yearning for. But amid the laughter and shared memories, Alara couldn't shake the underlying tension. The emotions were raw, and she knew that the past could not simply be wished away. They were navigating uncharted waters, and the currents could easily shift. As the conversation deepened, Jasper's expressions fluctuated between recognition and confusion. At times, he would remember moments with Celeste vividly, and at other times, he would drift away, lost in the fog of his mind. Alara watched him closely, her heart aching for the man who had once been so vibrant and full of life. Jasper, do you remember why you and Celeste parted ways? Alara asked gently, hoping to guide the conversation toward closure. He looked pained, his brow furrowing as he searched for the answer. I think I was scared, he admitted slowly. We had dreams, but life got complicated. I didn't know how to navigate it. Celeste nodded, her expression somber. I wanted to keep him safe, but I also wanted him to be free to pursue his passion. I thought he would find happiness, even if it meant letting go. Alara felt a pang of sorrow for both of them. Letting go is never easy, she said softly, but sometimes it's necessary for growth. The conversation continued to ebb and flow. the three of them sharing stories and memories that intertwined like the branches of the trees above them. Alara listened intently, trying to piece together the fragments of Jasper's past, while also holding on to her own memories, those that defined their life together. As the sun began to set, casting golden rays through the leaves, Alara felt a sense of hope growing within her. Perhaps this meeting was not just about confronting the past, it was also about finding a way forward. Maybe we can create new memories, Alara suggested, her voice steady. We can find a way to honor the past while also looking to the future. Jasper, you don't have to choose between us. You can hold both of us in your heart. Jasper looked at her, his eyes filled with gratitude. I want that, Alara. I want to hold on to everything, the love I have for you, and the memories of my past. Celeste nodded, her expression sincere. I want that too. I don't want to cause any more pain. I just want to understand my place in his life and help him remember. As they spoke, Alara felt a shift within her, a sense of empowerment. They were no longer bound by the shadows of the past, but were instead forging a new path together. The journey would not be easy, but she was willing to fight for the love she had built with Jasper, even if it meant navigating the complexities of his past. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, Alara realized that they had taken the first step toward healing. They had embarked on a journey together, a journey to reclaim memories, to confront the truths that had lingered in the shadows, and to build a future that honored both the past and the present. Alara took a deep breath, feeling a sense of calm wash over her. They had faced the storm together, and while the clouds still loomed on the horizon, she knew they had the strength to weather it. Together, they would find a way to embrace the complexities of love and memory, and together, they would forge a new path forward. The sun hung low in the sky as Alara Quinn sat on the couch, her heart heavy with the weight of the revelations that had unfolded over the past few days. Jasper Voss was in the kitchen, moving around quietly as he prepared tea, but the atmosphere felt charged with an unspoken tension. Their meeting with Celeste Rivers had left them both reeling, and while they had shared laughter and memories, it had also opened wounds that had yet to heal. Alara glanced at the clock on the wall, the ticking second hand echoing in the silence. She had spent years building a life with Jasper, dedicating herself to caring for him. But now shadows of the past loomed larger than ever. The letters, the memories, and the specter of Celeste hung over them like a dark cloud, threatening to engulf everything they had worked for. "Tea's ready," Jasper announced, his voice cutting through her thoughts. He entered the living room, carrying 2 steaming mugs, the aroma of chamomile filling the air. He handed one to Alara, his fingers brushing against hers, sending a familiar warmth through her. "Thanks," she murmured, taking a sip as she watched him. He looked different today, more withdrawn, as if he were still grappling with the emotional aftershocks of their meeting with Celeste. She wanted to reach out, to pull him close, but a distance had crept in that felt insurmountable. "Are you okay?" Alara asked gently, her voice laced with concern. "I'm fine," Jasper replied, but the slight tremor in his hands betrayed him. He sat across from her, the mug resting between his palms as if it were a fragile treasure. "Fine isn't good enough, Jasper," she said, her heart aching for him. "Not after everything we've faced." He looked down, his expression pained. It's just hard to process. I never wanted to hurt you, and now it feels like I've opened a floodgate. I don't know how to navigate all of this. Alara felt a swell of empathy. I understand. It's hard for me, too. I feel like I'm standing on shaky ground, and I'm terrified of what might happen next. Silence enveloped them, thick with unspoken fears. Alara felt the weight of the past bearing down on her, and she knew they had to confront it together. Jasper, we need to talk about what comes next. We can't ignore Celeste or the letters anymore. Pretending they don't exist won't make them go away. Jasper nodded slowly, his brow furrowed in contemplation. What do you want to do? I don't want to keep dragging you into my past. I want to understand, Alara said, her voice steady. I need to understand how you feel about Celeste and what she meant to you. It's the only way we can move forward. He took a deep breath, his gaze locked onto hers. I don't want to compare you to her. You're my present, my future, and I love you. But I can't deny that she was a part of my life, a part of me. I wish I could remember everything clearly. I wish I could make sense of it all. Alara felt a pang of sorrow for him. The fog of Alzheimer's had robbed him of so many memories, and now he was left grappling with the remnants of a life that felt like a distant echo. She reached across the coffee table, intertwining her fingers with his. We'll figure it out together. I promise. As they sat in silence, Alara's mind raced with possibilities. She had learned so much about Jasper's past, but there was still so much left unspoken. Maybe we could explore some of those memories together, she suggested. Go to places that were significant to you and Celeste. It might help jog your memory. Jasper looked hesitant. What if it hurts you more? What if I can't handle it? It's better than living in the dark, Alara replied, her voice resolute. I need to see you, the real you, even if it's painful. I'll be here to support you. He squeezed her hand, a flicker of warmth igniting in his eyes. Okay, but we do it together. I won't go back to those places without you. The next day, they set out on a journey into Jasper's past, armed with little more than a map and a willingness to confront the memories that lay ahead. Alara drove them to the marina, where Jasper had once sailed with Celeste, the sun glinting off the water in a shimmering dance. As they parked and stepped out, Alara felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Here we are, she said, looking over at Jasper, who stared at the boats bobbing in the water, lost in thought. It's beautiful, he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. I used to love the smell of the ocean. Alara watched as he took a deep breath, as if the salty air was awakening something deep within him. She guided him toward the dock, where the boats swayed gently in the breeze. What do you remember? She asked, trying to coax his memories into the light. I remember the sound of the sails flapping in the wind, he said slowly, his eyes narrowing as he focused. And the thrill of racing. Celeste would laugh as we sailed. Alara felt a pang in her chest at the mention of Celeste's name, but she forced herself to remain composed. What else? She prompted gently. I think there was a competition. We were all excited, and I had this old boat, Jasper continued, his voice gaining strength. I can see her smile. She was so happy. As he spoke, Alara felt a bittersweet ache in her heart. The memories were vivid and full of life, but they were tethered to a woman who had been an integral part of Jasper's past. You were happy, she said softly, trying to keep the focus on him. You loved sailing. We did, Jasper replied, a wistful smile tugging at his lips. It was a time of freedom and adventure. Alara's heart ached for the joy he had experienced, but she couldn't help but feel a sense of displacement. And what about now? She asked, her voice steady. What do you feel about sailing now? Jasper paused, his eyes searching the horizon. I feel a mix of things. I love the ocean, but it also reminds me of what I lost. Alara squeezed his hand, trying to bridge the gap between his past and their present. You haven't lost me, Jasper. We can create new memories together, even on the water. He turned to her, the weight of his past evident in his gaze. I want to, Alara. I want to move forward with you, but it's hard to let go of the past. I know, she replied, her heart swelling with love for him. But we can honor it while making room for our future. As they walked along the dock, Jasper's memories began to unfurl like the sails of the boats around them. He recalled the thrill of racing, the camaraderie of friends gathered for a weekend on the sea, and the joy of sharing those moments with Celeste. Each memory felt like a small victory, a step toward reclaiming the man he once was. Do you ever think about going sailing again? Alara asked, hoping to ignite a spark of enthusiasm. I do, Jasper admitted, his eyes lighting up at the thought. I think it would be freeing to feel the wind in my hair again. Then let's do it, Alara said, her voice filled with determination. Let's rent a boat. We can make new memories on the water. Jasper hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. What if I can't remember how to sail? Alara smiled, her heart full of hope. We'll learn together, and even if you forget some things, we'll figure it out. We're a team, remember? He nodded slowly, a mixture of trepidation and excitement in his gaze. Okay, let's do it. They returned to the marina the following weekend, exhilaration coursing through them as they approached the rental office. As they signed the paperwork, Alara felt a sense of anticipation building. This was a chance to reclaim the joy that had been stripped away, to create new memories that would fill the empty spaces left by the past. They climbed aboard a modest sailboat, the vessel rocking gently as they settled into their seats. Jasper took the helm, his hands trembling slightly as he grasped the wheel. Alara stood beside him, offering support as he navigated the familiar yet foreign waters. Just take a deep breath, she encouraged, her voice soothing. You've done this before. You've sailed before. As they set sail, the wind caught the sails, filling them with a crisp sound that sent a thrill through Alara. The boat glided gracefully over the water, and she watched as Jasper's expression transformed. The tension in his shoulders eased, and a smile broke across his face, illuminating his features. Look at that, he exclaimed, pointing toward the horizon. The open water. It's beautiful. Alara felt her heart soar at the sight of his joy. You're doing amazing, Jasper. Just like riding a bike, right? He laughed, a sound that felt like music to her ears. Exactly. I can feel it coming back. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue across the water, Alara Quinn and Jasper Voss sailed back toward the marina, their hearts lighter than they had been in weeks. The afternoon had been filled with laughter and shared joy, a reminder of the bond that still connected them, despite the shadows of the past. "Look at that sunset," Jasper said, his eyes reflecting the brilliant colors of orange and pink. "It's like a painting." "It really is," Alara replied, her heart swelling with love for the man beside her. "And we painted it together." Jasper turned to her, his expression softening. "I didn't think I could feel this way again. Being out here, sailing. It brought back so many memories, but it also made me realize how much I cherish my life with you." Alara reached for his hand, intertwining their fingers as they navigated the boat into the dock. "You don't have to choose between the past and the present, Jasper. We can honor both." As they tied up the boat, Jasper nodded. A sense of determination etched on his face. "You're right. I've spent too long being haunted by what I lost. I want to focus on what we have now." They walked back to their car, the cool evening breeze wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. Alara felt a sense of peace settle in her heart, knowing they had taken significant steps toward healing. The road ahead would undoubtedly be filled with challenges, but together they could face anything. That night, as they sat on the couch, Alara leaned her head against Jasper's shoulder. "I'm proud of you, you know. You faced your past head on, and it took so much courage." "I couldn't have done it without you," he said softly. "You were my anchor through all of it." Her heart swelled with affection, and she smiled at him. "And you're mine." As they settled into the evening, the memories of Celeste and the letters no longer felt like a burden, but rather a part of the tapestry of their lives, one that had shaped them both, but would not define their future. They had learned to embrace the complexities of love and memory, weaving a new narrative that honored their journey together. Days turned into weeks, and while the specter of Jasper's past would always linger in the background, they found ways to create new memories. They explored the city together, visited art galleries, and even took weekend trips to the coast, all while Jasper's confidence continued to grow. He embraced his present, cherishing every moment with Alara. One evening, as they sat on their porch watching the stars emerge in the night sky, Jasper turned to Alara, his eyes filled with warmth. "I've never felt so alive, Alara. Thank you for helping me find my way back." Alara smiled, her heart brimming with love. "We'll always find our way back, Jasper, together." As they embraced under the starlit sky, Alara felt a sense of hope radiate through her. They had weathered the storm of the past and emerged stronger than ever, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In that moment, she realized that love was not just about the memories they shared, but also about the future they were building together. And so, with renewed strength and a deeper understanding of each other, Alara and Jasper stepped forward into a future filled with promise, ready to create a life rich with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. You've made it to the end. If you enjoyed this story, I am confident that you'll love the next one appearing on the screen now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and please give this video a like. I'll see you in the next one.